Imagine walking into a boardroom where the default setting isn't. Well, it's not. How do we maximize short-term prestige?
Right.
Or, how quickly can we hit the next quarter's profit target?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, every single decision starts with this really profound, almost spiritual question.
Dishes.
What is the long-term enduring impact of this choice
Yeah.
on the people, the resources, and the generations that follow?
That's a huge shift.
It is, and that pivot from the mindset of an owner to the responsibility of a caretaker, that's really the engine behind our deep dive today.
Exactly.
We're exploring a custom framework rooted in something called stewardship leadership.
Mm-hmm.
The sources we're looking at offer this powerful blueprint for shifting away from,
From authority and ownership.
right, and toward purpose and responsibility.
Yeah.
Our mission here is to uncover why this mindset is so urgent right now, in a world of digital disruption.
And what practical tools it actually offers. It's really the essential conflict of our era, I think.
How so?
Well, for decades, the formula was pretty simple, right? Ownership plus centralized authority that equals measurable output.
The old playbook.
The old playbook.
Yeah.
But the pace of change now, driven by tech and global demands for sustainability, it means leaders who cling to that old paradigm, they risk stagnation.
And irrelevance, eventually.
Legitimately irrelevance. The
Yeah.
sources are so clear on this. The old models are obsolete because they prioritize extraction over endurance.
Okay, let's unpack this then. If we're not giving up power, but we are rejecting that traditional idea of ownership, what is stewardship leadership?
It's about the responsible wielding of influence.
Okay.
It's not about decreasing your authority at all. It's about increasing your accountability for the influence you already have.
So it's an alignment.
A very intentional alignment
Uh-huh.
of purpose with every action, connecting the potential of your people with meaningful, enduring outcomes.
That distinction then between fleeting success and an enduring legacy.
It's built entirely on rejecting the idea that you are the ultimate proprietor of your company, your team, or even your time.
That is such a radical mental shift.
It is.
Because culturally, we're taught that leadership is that pursuit of status, right? The selfish climb toward power.
Mm-hmm.
But the stewardship mindset just reframes influence completely. It's not about dominating outcomes.
No, it's a commitment. A commitment to nurture the people you lead, to allocate those finite resources wisely, and to ensure the systems you build can survive you.
What's fascinating to me is that the framework grounds this whole concept not in, the latest business journal article,
Right, not an HBR.
but in an ancient call, a theological reflection that defines the leader as a guardian. It starts with the idea that nothing truly belongs to us.
Exact.
And if we look at the source material's foundation, this creation mandate in Genesis Humanity was given what's often translated as dominion.
Right, but the documents really stress the original Hebrew meaning there.
Yeah, the word for rule is rada, and subdue is kabosh, and they imply a benevolent, purposeful governance.
Like a king tending his fertile kingdom.
Not an invader just extracting resources.
Precisely. And this sets up ethical governance as the default position. And if you connect that ancient concept to modern leadership, you see immediate resonance.
With things like CSR.
With CSR, with ESG criteria, the expectation is care. You weren't given this platform or these assets to exploit them for personal gain. You were given them to manage and improve them.
And that active role is so key. I love how the framework points to Genesis 2.15, where humanity was put in the garden to work it, avad,
Which means labor, but also service.
and to take care of it, shamar, which means to guard and preserve.
Shamar is the core concept here.
Okay.
We are managers, custodians of assets owned by the ultimate proprietor. And here's where the liberation comes in. The sources suggest that true anxiety in leadership, it stems from the crushing burden of ownership.
The fear of losing it all.
The fear of acquisition, the anxiety of accumulation, and the terror of loss. When you realize you're just the manager, you're free to focus on faithful execution, not fearful hoarding.
Wait, that's a heavy philosophical concept for, a stressed out CEO just trying to make payroll. How does a modern leader practically operationalize that idea?
You mean that they aren't the ultimate owner?
Yeah. Doesn't that sound a bit passive?
Not passive at all. It requires incredible courage. It translates directly into governance structures that prioritize the organization's mission over the founder's ego.
So putting profits back into sustainability.
Exactly. Even when shareholders are clamoring for immediate dividends, it means rejecting that conventional mindset that measures success solely by material accumulation.
Which brings us directly to the trap, what the sources call the idolatry of mammon.
The relentless pursuit of wealth as the sole metric, and the consequences of this, as outlined in the material, are just devastating.
In what way?
When profit is the only god you serve, it inevitably leads to the exploitation of labor, the isolation of leaders, and this perpetual organizational anxiety. Ethical boundaries. They just become inconvenient obstacles.
But in today's landscape, I mean, isn't short-term gain sometimes essential just for market survival?
Right.
How does a steward leader balance that immediate pressure with this, long-term kind of ambiguous goal of influence for good?
That is the daily tension, and the framework addresses it by saying you need new metrics.
New metrics. Okay.
The sources detail 3 criteria that define success that genuinely transcends profit. They link them back to what they call God's economy.
Give us a scorecard. What's number 1?
Number 1, relational equity.
Relational equity.
This is the health and strength of your relationships, internal and external. Fostering deep trust, empathy, genuine connection with employees and stakeholders.
So the quality of the network.
Exactly. If your company have to downsize or pivot, does the community and your former employees still trust you enough to refer business or even come back later?
That makes perfect sense. A good name is more desirable than great riches. Not just morally, but as a real business asset, it creates resilience.
Absolutely. The second metric is influence for good. This means leveraging your platform, your resources, your position to advocate for fairness, uplift the marginalized, and promote innovation that genuinely serves humanity.
Solving real problems.
Solving real problems, not just acquiring market share.
And number 3.
Long-term value creation. This is the sustainability metric, prioritizing practices and decisions that benefit future generations, the very definition of shamar, rather than just optimizing for the immediate fiscal quarter.
Right.
And we see the tension between these metrics played out perfectly in the parable of the talents.
A great example.
It's the ultimate example of stewardship expectations. The master didn't expect the servants to just hoard the resources or bury them out of fear. He expected them to be leveraged and multiplied.
The expectation was aggressive for sure, but the reward was calibrated differently, wasn't
And
it?
it was. The master commends the 2 faithful servants with the exact same phrase. Well done, good and faithful servant.
Right. One doubled 5 talents, the other doubled 2.
But the commendation wasn't based on who got the highest financial return. It was based on their faithfulness in stewarding what was given, regardless of the quantity.
So stewardship requires risk-taking.
Proactive, calculated risk-taking. Not burying potential out of organizational fear. You have to be aggressive in management, but humble in ownership.
And if we accept that faithfulness, not just gross returns, is the metric, then the whole way we view our teams has to change.
It has to.
Because if we are merely stewards, then our people cannot be raw materials.
Exactly. The framework argues that reducing people to human resources strips them of their inherent dignity, what the sources call the imago Dei.
The image of God.
And when you strip away that dignity, you aren't just being morally wrong, you are strategically hindering your own success. You stifle the very creativity and innovation that drives sustainable growth.
So HR isn't just an administrative function.
It's a strategic function, dedicated to maximizing the dignity and purpose of every single individual. Development becomes an investment, not an expense.
And the model for this, according to the sources,
is that radical inversion of worldly power structures embodied by servant leadership. The example they use is Jesus in Mark 10. It shows that true authority is earned through service, not through coercive power.
Let's translate that service model into, concrete actions, things that move beyond just soft skills and become real cultural architecture. What does a steward leader actually do?
The first thing is to cultivate transparency.
Okay.
And this goes beyond just sharing the good news. It means sharing the context, the risks, the strategic rationale openly. When leaders create safe channels for critical feedback, they build the bedrock of trust.
Which you need for the next step.
Which is empower autonomy.
Right.
Delegate meaningful responsibilities, and then trust your teams to fully own their work, not just execute tasks. You have to actively fight that urge to micromanage.
Because that just signals a lack of trust.
And it undermines dignity. Yeah. Third, and this is so relevant today, is to prioritize well-being.
The Sabbath principle?
By actively applying the Sabbath principle. Our hyper-connected world, our digital tools, they create this always-on expectation.
Which leads to burnout.
To spiritual and physical exhaustion. The sources remind us that God himself rested, setting a precedent that productivity is finite and requires rhythm.
That's a powerful connection. So encouraging rest, modeling healthy boundaries.
Well, it
It
is.
isn't just nice, it's essential strategy. Exhausted employees are not productive stewards.
Not at all. And fourth, administer just systems. This covers everything from fair compensation to creating equitable opportunities for advancement. The framework views organizational justice not as a compliance issue, but as a foundational duty that stabilizes the entire culture.
That transitions us neatly from managing people to managing processes, innovation, and accountability.
Right.
The stewardship approach says innovation shouldn't be just for market dominance, it has to be for transformation.
Solving genuine human problems. That's right.
Yeah.
A steward leader has to treat technology as a tool, not a master. You have to constantly ask, does this tech enhance our purpose?
Or is it just a distraction?
Or is it a shiny object distracting us with efficiency gains that actually cause ethical harm? It means anticipating risks like algorithmic bias or data privacy breaches.
It's the modern application of Shamar, guarding the system.
And the people it affects.
And innovation needs a strong backbone, which the material says is accountability, and they call it a foundational virtue, a divine imperative. Why such strong language?
Because accountability is the solution to resource misuse and ineffective management. It clarifies expectations, which drives performance and builds psychological safety.
I see.
If the rules are clear and applied equitably, people feel secure enough to take the calculated risks you need for true stewardship and innovation.
Okay, this is where we need the brass tacks. What are the practical tools outlined in the sources, the things that bridge this high-level philosophy to daily action?
We have three big takeaways for implementation. Number one, stewardship scorecards.
Which go beyond traditional KPIs.
Way beyond. A traditional scorecard tracks revenue, efficiency. A stewardship scorecard tracks three types of metrics.
Okay, what are they?
People metrics like employee psychological safety scores, development goal attainment. Then resource metrics, waste reduction rates, energy efficiency.
And the third?
Purpose metrics, things like the percentage of your R&D budget dedicated to mission-aligned transformation or your ethical audit results. You have to weigh fidelity to the mission equally with fiscal return.
That makes the commitment visible and measurable. What's the second tool?
Resource and time stewardship plans. I mean, the most finite resource any leader has is time.
For sure.
So this requires intentional planning to maximize impact, avoiding what the material calls time wasters, unproductive meetings, ego-driven projects, things that pull you from your core purpose.
That's like a budget for your attention.
It is. And the third tool is my favorite, stewardship labs.
I like the sound of that.
Yes. These are small, controlled experiments designed to embed these new practices into the daily routine.
So instead of a massive company-wide overhaul,
You run a 90-day lab in one department. Maybe you test a 4-day work week or a new transparent compensation formula. It encourages learning from both failures and successes, and it makes stewardship a living, adaptable practice.
so ultimately what the sources are really showing us is that stewardship leadership is this complex synergy. If you neglect one principle, say, you pursue innovation, but you ignore the human-centeredness.
The whole framework starts to weaken.
The ultimate goal, as the framework emphasizes, is to become a legacy maker.
It's about building systems that endure and making a meaningful, measurable difference in the lives you touch long after you've left the position. But it demands incredible clarity
And conviction.
and the courage to stand against that constant worldly push for instant gratification.
Absolutely. The research suggests that your faithful stewardship today has, well, a deep significance. So we'll leave you with this provocative thought to mull over.
What decision are you making right now about your resources, your time, or the people under your care that will create an enduring impact that truly echoes for years to come?
Lead wisely. And thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.